Welcome to Nerdities. Bitches.
No topic too absurd, no statement too asinine, no question too interesting. It is a Nerdities interview show with the very, very interesting... Wait, no. I got ahead of myself. Because I got to say who I am. I'm Mike.
I'm Justin.
I'm Joe.
Technically, our guest this week is the interesting, creative writer, director, editor...
Robbie J. Atkinson.
Thank you for joining us. The story, I'll say the first part, the Seventh Kingdom. I am not going to try to do that Japanese. If you want to, it's your creation, it's all you.
Yes, so, Fukushu no Okoku.
Would not have been able to say that. And I have a good tongue for languages. That's very specific, very Japanese. You've obviously spent some time in Japan or engrossed yourself in Japanese culture?
Yes, you're right. Both, actually.
Yes. I got an eye for this kind of stuff. Can you please give us the elevator pitch or run roughshod on the story? Tell us the whole thing if you want to, but that doesn't make sense. So...
Yes. This is essentially a journey of revenge and redemption. We have a sheltered young woman named Claire Belkeda who embarks on a journey of revenge against the Seventh Kingdom following the decimation of her village, and she collides with dark revelations about her family history and the world around her as she continues on this journey.
That's a sweet elevator pitch. You've done that a couple hundred times, haven't you?
Yeah, maybe 102.
Yeah, you came prepared. We're happy to get you when you've mastered it. You're making us sound better now. It looks, from the art alone, I'm getting a lot of Fist of the North Star, Ninja Scroll vibes from the art style. It looks classic manga, like manga when I came in and could still get into it.
Yeah.
So, what kind of twist are you putting on the classic manga tropes, would you say?
So that's first off my favorite thing to hear always, because I have always been a fan of the older style of anime anyways. So this is a series that's bringing in a lot of underground aesthetics. Cyberpunk is something that's not too new to us, but we're bringing a bit of used future, cyber prep, and then we have solar punk, which is a new style coming out. I did a bit of extensive research on other aesthetics. Did you know that there's such a thing called toxic core?
I tend to think if there's two different words that are descriptors, you can put them together. There's a group out there for it.
Okay, all right. So
sloppy crunchy. There's a group out there that's probably sloppy crunchy something.
Sloppy crunchy core, maybe.
Sloppy crunchy core is probably a musical style that we could search and get something.
But I guess my point is this series has a wide array of different aesthetics, as it was inspired by a lot of real-world cultures, and each kingdom has its own aesthetic and has its own bit of architecture. Really, that's its own world, and that our character has to navigate through to get to the Seventh Kingdom. And I mean, it's a real adventure. If you love that space era of anime, like Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star, things like that, then you're gonna like the series because it has that to it. Yeah.
The art style, very Bebop for me. I was like, ooh, I like this.
Yes. Thank you.
So, Seven Kingdoms sounds like it could be a very limited story, and I'd say, the way I'd write something, 7 issues, 1 for each kingdom. That's just me being, I guess, corny. Is it a long, sprawling epic, or a tight, compact maxi series?
Long and sprawling. I'm actually on the 19th chapter right now, and I know there's going to be at least 50.
Nice.
First season, that is.
First season. Oh, you've got a vision for the future, the long haul.
I do.
After my own heart there, Mike. I love long stories.
Yeah, you're going to curl up with this, right?
Yeah.
No, that's a thing that I heard someone joke about recently, that a lot of anime and manga these days pride themselves on being short. I hate it because like you said, I want to curl up with it. I want to dive into it, and it's hard to do nowadays, so I'm bringing that back.
You get so attached, and then they're like, hey, we're done. And you're like, why?
Right.
Why? One Piece is still going.
Point in case.
That does seem to be the Japanese way, though. We're going to tell this story. Then we're done. This is the story we're telling. Maybe, who knows down the line, we've got something else to say here. But no, you're not going to force us. No matter how much money, you're not going to force us to keep doing this thing.
Yeah, it's interesting because the manga version of a lot of these series out always tends to be longer, but the anime, they'll condense it, and that's something I really don't want to, I don't want to do that, because I feel like if you have a good story and you have a lot of elements and you don't have filler, then tell everything. And I've been meticulous about writing this where there is no filler episode. Even an episode that almost seems random has a bit of information that helps with the next episode, even if it's like a flashback episode. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah.
I find most people say filler episodes are ones that focus on not the main character exclusively. Like you take a supporter and it's their entire episode issue. Would you feel like that's a filler, or if it's specific to them, it's important to the story? It's not right. It's not filler. It's the story.
See, we can tell that you don't read a lot of manga or watch a lot of anime, because filler episodes in that world are just like, here's your main character doing something that has nothing to do with the episode prior.
Yeah, that's how I define filler.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, if it was related to the story, I wouldn't mind it. But yeah, typically it's like they decide to go shopping for like a certain thing and they can't find it. It's a whole episode. They're busy trying to like take down some monster, and they get caught in like one episode trying to buy this thing, and it's not related to the plot at all. Yeah,
Yep.
That's what I do not do. That's what I do not.
You've kept my attention then, because there's some things about Japanese storytelling that like it sucks you in, it's beautiful, but then there's some, like, I guess you'd call them like idiosyncrasies they have where it's just, that's too weird. Sorry, that's too Japanese for me. I'm gonna go to the next thing.
Yeah. There was and I'm sure you've seen this with some of the genres of Japanese manga, where I saw one, Visions of Esaflowne was a series I really loved, but when I read the overview for it and the description of the genre, I was like, oh, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let you research that and see why I say, oh. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it.
Is this ringing a bell for you, Justin? Have you heard about this?
I've heard about the reaction to it. I've never searched it out myself, because I mean, I'm kind of basic. I'm pretty much reading what's coming up in like Shonen Jump. I'll catch a random manga or two outside of that, but like, like the big boys. I got upset because Jujutsu Kaisen just ended, My Hero Academia just ended.
Double whammy.
I know. And then Kaiju number 8 is on like the hiatus again.
Yeah. They make you earn it. They
do.
earn it.
They do.
You wait 10 years for the whole series, but it's worth it. Depending on the story, it's worth it.
Yeah, and I had no problems with their endings, unlike most of the fandoms. I know everybody was butthurt about My Hero Academia, but I think it ended just fine.
Oh, don't be mad at me. That's actually one that I've not seen yet.
Hey, if you like superhero stories,
yeah,
it's a good one.
Okay.
You go like really, really deep bench manga? Are you like indie even by like manga standards?
Ooh, that's a good question. No, not at all, because I bought a whole bunch of mainstream manga when I went to Tokyo, and really that was the reason why I did that, was to analyze the elements and components of the manga that physically establish like a distinct style. So I really did that to say, okay, I like this. They're all very vastly different, and yet they all worked and they're all commercially successful. Why? So I really did it for like analysis purposes. I would, okay, maybe yes, because I used to read a series called Batum that like no one seems to really know about. They had an animated version of it for a bit, and that just cut off randomly and we never saw it again. That was fascinating. And not many people know about that one, but I feel that was also one of the few that I like read as far through as I could. I also bought that when I was in France, so I was reading it in French.
Ooh.
We. I think everyone that has an anime manga period has at least one thing that they're like, oh, did you see this? This is one of the things that got me into it. This one was great. Did you see it? And the person just stares at you blankly like, I've never seen that. It's so important to you, but I've never seen it on a rack and walk past it. Mine was Guy. Yeah, it was called Guy, an anime called Guy, where this bounty hunter comes to a planet and it's just like, oh, I'm a bounty hunter doing normal stuff and the planet's haunted. And he gets trapped there in the substrata and turned into a mutant. and does mutant fights then.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it was anime, so there was sex. So like that too. It's weird. Like I was 13, 14, and there was sex. It was just like, come on, animation and nudity, fake nudity, mind blowing. The artist on your book is listed as tagline 9, right?
Yes.
Is that an individual handle, or is that like an artist collective kind of deal?
That is an artist collective, a group of incredibly talented people. I interact with 2 of the main illustrators, Walla and Ali, and they are absolutely mind-blowing. Actually, Ali was just in town for Shao Kahn. I was a panelist at Shao Kahn, which is a new convention that started here in Atlanta by the voice actor for the character Shao Kahn of Mortal Kombat. He invited me, and that was fun. But, I mean, anyways, that team is ridiculous in terms of like how detailed they can be and how just on point they can be with like my vision. When they always say like, oh, you know, you always give us so much detail. It's very easy to do exactly what you want and more. But I've as a filmmaker, I've worked with people who you have to cheat a couple corners because they don't quite reach your vision, and that's okay. You're willing to compromise a bit, but they're just amazing. I mean. Yeah, they're just amazing. It's great.
As someone who draws, I'd have to say it probably is easier to be given what is needed to have it described to you, because there's few things more intimidating. As a writer, you probably know this. Few things more intimidating than the blank page. So the more detail thrown at you, at least that's where my head's at nowadays. I'm not in the mood to draw stuff on my own, but if someone asks me for something, it sparks a light in me. So like, do you ever get that? Do you get like writer's block? A few of the writers we've talked to on here are like, no, I'm a professional. That doesn't happen.
Well, I guess it depends on your writing rhythm is what I refer to it as. And really, I'm someone where I don't believe in forcing myself to sit down and write. That's kind of like forcing yourself to sit down and do math. Like, no, maybe that's a weird analogy. My point is, I write when I have the inspiration. So I don't ever really grapple with writer's block in the sense of like, I tend to have a flow of ideas, creativity, sense of the story. And if I ever feel myself struggling or picking things out, it's either because I don't know the character well enough to be able to continue the story or continue the dialogue, or I don't know the world well enough, or I'm actually bored and I need to throw something in there. And if I know my world and I know my character, I can throw something in the mix and I can keep it exciting and still stay on track for my objective for this particular chapter. So I would say if I experience writer's block, I immediately know what needs to be done. And sometimes it's just that you're tired and you need to rest. You go through the rhythm of writing and consuming, producing and consuming. And when you've produced enough and you can't do any more, you're hitting that wall where nothing comes to you, then you need to take time to relax, just consume. And when you consume and you get inspiration, then you write again.
Makes sense. Like any overuse of one part of the mind just shuts me down nowadays. Like the same song stuck in my head will give me a headache all day long. It just drives me crazy. And I've come to realize that you can't focus that much on one thing and expect it to be, to work out for you. I had another one. I know. Oh, yeah. One of the questions we always ask our guests, I'm going to go with 5 this time. What are your top 5 fandoms? Like, what are the top 5 things you nerd out about?
Oh, this is an interesting question. Oh gosh, I mean, not as much as I used to, but I still have connection to the industry. It's not related to manga, but it's related to K-pop. Fun fact, I used to do K-pop videography, and so that was a thing. At some point, I was really into. What was that?
I said, what?
Yeah. I speak Korean as well, so that was something where you kind of just get thrown into the industry and you work with people that like you listen to when you're in college. And of course, it's BTS, but it's BTS because I listened to them back when, like in 2013, when they walked through the streets of LA and no one knew who they were. And they did a music video with I forgot the name of the rapper, but yeah, BTS from back then. So K-pop in general, I would say I geek out over Pokemon. And when I say geek out, I mean, I taught my cousin, who is now married and has 2 kids, how to talk Pokemon. And he's still challenging me. He's like, I need to get you back for that one time you beat me. I need to get you back. Come on, game on. I'm like, all right, bring it. We're still into that. I still have a DS. I still play Scarlet to this day.
Are you Pokemon going?
No, I like the original experience. I like the overworld, and I like the experience of flying to different towns and fighting against like some variation of Team Rocket or Team Star or whatever. Pokemon Go, I liked it in college, but I got bored of that because it's not the same to me.
I can understand that. I tried it for a bit, and the gameplay loop just isn't there. Like, what am I working toward? I'm not working toward fighting someone, so what am I really working toward?
Yes, it's just a sense of running around and collecting Pokemon.
Yeah.
Which is exercise, but...
Right, yeah. Let me see. So another island, that was 2. What's 3? I would say I geek out over, in case you haven't noticed, languages, because I always have a place I want to travel to, and I don't ever want to go and not be able to communicate. It was also kind of just a mistake. And when I say mistake, it was just the way my school system was set up. I took one language, I took Spanish. And when I reached a certain level in Spanish, they said, okay, if you want to go farther, you have to drop orchestra. I was in orchestra. I didn't want to drop that. So I dropped Spanish and picked up French. And then I graduated with French and Spanish under my belt, went to college, took an exam, tested too high. They said, no, you have to start over with a new language. So then I picked up Korean on a bet with a friend who said, I bet you can't learn it. I said, challenge accepted. And so that happened. And then when I went to study abroad in Korea and came back, that was still in college. They took too long to send me my transcript, so I had to start over again. So I started over with Mandarin. And everyone said Mandarin was hard, even more why I said, let me try it. I don't think it's hard. And it's not. I still say that Mandarin is easier than Korean. So yeah, I want to learn German, and I'm a bit self-taught with Japanese. There's some things I know. I know enough to ask questions on the subway and maybe talk to like little children. But I also want to learn Hebrew. Italian, I probably should learn, but it's like Spanish. So if I can read Italian and understand it, but I can't.
Wow. Yeah. I figured you were one of those people who's like, I have all of these that I'm good at, but I'm still working on a new one right now. No,
to be fair, I actively only use English, maybe Korean. And I only use, like, just the other day I was at the beauty supply store and I used Korean to talk to the lady. In Georgia, Korean is like the 3rd most spoken language, so that checks out. But I really don't ever get to use French or even Mandarin. If I may run into someone who doesn't know, and I'll just like whip it out just for fun, and we talk. But I don't use them as much as I'd like to, I guess.
You should go up to Quebec. I took 3 years of French in high school and really didn't remember a lot of things until I got to Quebec, and I'm reading the menu. I'm like, could understand this.
I'm gonna try that though, because I heard their French is a bit different from French in other countries too.
It's a little different.
Yeah, it's the thing that happens when a language transposes and it mutates and whatever. I hear the French from France really look down on what that's become, what their version of French is.
The French Canadian.
Yeah, French Canadian.
Oui.
François. Pavlova. We were at 3 or 4. I can't remember.
That was 3, I think.
3.
4, I geek out over movies because naturally, as a filmmaker, but also I just grew up watching film. My dad was big into movies from I was like a kid. He took me to the movie theaters. I remember watching. I feel like I went to the movie theaters when the first X-Men came out. I feel like I was in the movie theaters with my dad when that came out. It was just a thing, and he had a degree in psychology, so we would, after a movie, we'd watch it, and he'd say, analyze this character, tell me their mindset, tell me what motivates them. And I never let go of that, and it motivates how I write to this day. And I still love movies. Yeah, I'll if I'm not watching anime or if I'm not reading manga, I'm most definitely watching a movie just to relax.
Here's a curveball. List inside a list. Top 5 movies.
That's what I was just about to say.
All right. So I really liked The Prestige by Christopher Nolan.
Oh, good.
That's
a good one. It's great.
Yeah. I love it though, because that's like a trick within a trick, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I really liked the original Alien, the first Alien.
We tried to show it to Justin's son. I think the problem was, did you watch it at night the first time you saw it?
Probably. I hadn't.
He's a teenager of today. He's just a little shit. So we gotta show him modern stuff.
In the dark.
Yeah, it still wouldn't have creeped him out, man.
It would have done something. A little bit of something.
It's the attention span of today's youth. He's just like, if it doesn't draw them in right away, he's just like, this is dumb. It broke our heart.
Yeah.
And he was just like, this is stupid. And we're like, oh.
Classic, man. Oh, man.
That's 2.
Okay, that's 2. 3, I would have to say... Man, I'm thinking. Okay. Hayao Miyazaki's Kiki's Delivery Service. Actually,
Yes.
I resonate with Kiki on so many different levels. That was one of the first Hayao Miyazaki films that I ever got to see. Never forgot it. And let me see. So that was 3 as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was 3.
4, I would have to say Titanic. But here's why I say this. Because I like Hal as a villain. Because he's the worst kind of villain. He is charismatic. He's wealthy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know he's like that unless you see things from Rose's perspective. I liked how kind of like tragic the movie was, in the sense of like, you get pulled into these characters' lives and then you watch everyone just die. Yeah, of course Rose lives, but I love also, like, I think the theory behind, like, the fact that Rose was actually, that Jack was part of her psyche, that she created him to
The time traveler one's pretty interesting.
I'm gonna have to look into that one. I didn't hear that one.
There's a lot of evidence in there. It's poor writing that sets up the time traveler story, because they throw things that Jack says in there that are temporally impossible. They didn't exist yet. He couldn't have done them.
Okay. I'm gonna have to look into that one.
I have heard that too, about Jack. About some continuity faux pas with the.
They didn't do their research.
Yeah.
Oopsie daisy.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna look into that now. Also, Joe, I just noticed your backdrop looks like Office Space.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Lumberg is definitely looking over my shoulder.
It's just there. All right. So the 5th one, I would have to say, The Matrix. The Matrix. The first Matrix and the second.
Excellent.
Me personally,
I enjoy the second one.
Now,
I don't hate the second one. I thought the second one had amazing action sequences.
No, the second one falls apart for me. That first big fight where, like, Neo is too CGI. Like, the things they pulled off in the first one that was so amazing, they kind of abandoned for stuff that wasn't ready yet. And then the part with the architect at the end, I always felt like he was talking down to everyone, not just Neo. Like, that's the point of the scene. He's talking down to Neo. But I felt like the writers were talking down to us, and it was so frustrating. I kind of like the third one more than the second one.
Interesting.
But great choice.
The first one for sure, though, because it just, the innovation in the story, and I mean, the technology at the time, like what you were seeing back then, especially ironically, with the onset of like reaching the year 2000, right? There was a lot of technology with that, and I love the storytelling. I love everything about it. I love the symbolism. That's a movie that, like, you can peel back the layers and see so much. So I have to say those.
The thing that I kind of feel bad that they even made sequels to that, because there was so much riding on the question of what the Matrix was. That was like the big thing that drew everyone in. And once you've answered that, how great can a sequel be? Like, what's the next big mind blower? So it could almost never live up to that first one. That's a strong list. I will not argue with any one of them.
It's a good one.
Me either.
And you still have one fandom left.
One fandom left. Bubble tea. No, that's a lie. Pizza. I like not just any pizza.
Yeah.
Italian style pizza, like New York style kind of, but really Italian, as Italian as it gets.
Like Neapolitan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of our standard questions is about pizza. Like, how important? We've asked many people, how important is pizza in your life?
We're from Jersey.
Yeah.
No, when my parents were in the military when I was a kid, and when we were living in Germany, we had a friend who took us to different countries, and I got to taste Italian pizza at a young age. So when I came to America and I ate Georgia pizza, I was like, ooh. Yeah. And then I went to New York and then had New York style. I said, okay, wait.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not.
It's a middle ground. It's a middle ground.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard for you to get back to that pure Italian, but at least this is...
Great. So, yeah. And it just agrees with my digestive tract a lot more, so.
Much more important.
Yes.
I was so happy she walked right into that without us
You
having to
did.
ask the question. That was
That's a
awesome.
perfect questionnaire. Man, they should put that in like history books.
So, my big question, because I'm a film buff. Tell me about Kalimba.
That's a
You
joke.
did your research. Yes.
Good job, Joe.
So Kalimba is a psychological horror that touches on sleep paralysis, but understand this short is a proof of concept that is only a portion. Think of like the sneak peek edition of the Seventh Kingdom. You see how you just get a snippet of the story and you're intended to see more? That's what this short was, is proof of concept of the feature. And in essence, we're dealing with the phenomenon of sleep paralysis, but there's also the concept of illusion playing in. Your question is what the character is experiencing, is it in their psyche, or is it actually a spiritual, like something is tormenting the family? And if it is, then what is it? And our character is kind of caught in the middle between her mother, who does not believe in those things, and her grandmother, who very much does, and they kind of come together and have to figure out like what to do about the situation. The short does not show you all of that. It just shows her being tormented, brief conversation, and then a big thing at the end. But that's in essence, that's it. And that's something I co-wrote with my late father. And before he said to me, like, all right, because we've been working on it for a little bit. We had been going back and forth, sending each other drafts. And then before he passed, he kind of said to me, because he knew, he was going to go, and he kind of said, all right, so I want you to work on this until you're happy with it. And when you're happy with it, you need to start making it, start filming it. And I was reluctant because I was like, this is really odd. It's very niche. I don't know if people will be able to relate or understand or like it. But when he passed, I was like, well, I have no reason to hold back. So I gave it a try, and we're actually premiering November 9th, I believe, at Buried Alive Film Festival here in Atlanta.
That's
so
awesome.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that.
It's great stuff to look forward to.
Yeah.
Running short on time. Okay, that
Hold
was
on.
your...
Wait,
Oh,
so I have possibly the most important question of the night. Okay. Pokemon fan. Who's your starter?
Charmander.
Always.
She didn't even hesitate on that one.
Didn't.
Fire type all the way. Fire and poison and ghost. That three.
It's well played. Well played.
out of respect, she knows
Oh, yeah.
her player. Yeah.
Which Mega Evolution?
I haven't looked into that too much. Mega Evolution. I know. I'm still on the rasterizing thing with like Scarlet right now.
Okay.
But I'll get back to you about that though.
Fair.
Totally hope you do. This was... We've been on a great run of interviews lately where we end them going, wow, that was an incredible conversation. This might be the best interview we've had.
Absolutely.
Yeah, your energy
Long time.
is just
High quality.
yes.
Both thumbs.
Thank you. Oh, I appreciate you guys so much. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me. Honestly.
We'd like to have you back on... we usually do it through another medium so we can go however long form we want. We can talk about pretty much anything and everything.
Yeah.
Because you have we can tell, a deep nerd vein going on.
Yes, absolutely. I'd be happy to come back anytime.
So let's take the time to get our socials out. Well, our socials. You know our
Yeah,
socials.
they
right?
know our stuff.
Yeah.
Robbie.
Well, if anyone wants to follow me as an individual, they can find me at Godzilla_9, and that's GODSCILLA_9. There's a long story behind that nickname. If you want to find the Seven Kingdoms Instagram account, you can go to the_7TH_Kingdom. If you want to find us on TikTok, you can go to the Seventh Kingdom. And otherwise, go to our official website, rpxmediaproduction.com/the Seventh Kingdom to keep updated on our pre-order bundles, keep updated on character reveals, or if you want to find the secret page and do a scavenger hunt for each chapter that's released, go to rpxmediaproduction.com, and under the manga tab, you will see secret page. If you have the secret page token, you can access it. So there's a lot there.
That's so cool.
Yes, she's thinking things.
Yeah.
There's things she's thinking.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying.
Uplifting. Because I was coming into today kind of like, whatever, another interview. Who cares? But no. Book looks great. Story sounds great.
The film sounds great.
Yeah.
Film sounds really interesting too. Want to see that in long form. We're knocking our heads together to try and put a feature film together ourselves. We do shorts and they're fun, but I think you could resonate with the notion that making a film, making one of these things that we've been seeing our whole lives, at least 90 minutes long, is a lifelong goal. It's a life-worthy goal.
Yes, it takes a lot.
I mean, we do have a cooking show too.
Yeah, we do a lot of fun little things. Yeah. Feature film, something you can put on a screen.
True.
Where I'll spend like 3 months editing instead of, the usual like
Yes, you
2
will.
weeks.
Yes, you will. Sound, too. We're going to do proper sound on this thing.
Yeah, definitely ADR.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sounds like a show.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Nerdies, our standard fond farewell, fuck bye.
Fuck bye. Fuck bye, everybody.
All right.
That's an inside joke.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Because of the end of civilization, the Clamp Cable Network now leaves the air. We hope you have enjoyed our programming, but more importantly, we hope you have enjoyed life.